Daisy had begun loving her dad until she realized her identity. At the age of 5, Daisy began having nightmares. Her mother would find her sitting upright in bed, eyes wide, her voice whispering names she shouldn't know. Daniela. She would say it again and again in her sleep, sometimes curled in a ball, other times staring blankly at the ceiling. Her drawings started to worry them too. Sketches of fire, sirens, buildings with people running. One picture showed a man standing in front of a dark warehouse, holding something sharp. When asked who he was, she would only say, "He's bad." At 8, her obsession shifted. She became excited about police officers. She lit up at the sight of patrol cars. She begged for toy handcuffs and plastic badges, wore them everywhere. She told her mother that when she grew up, she wanted to stop bad people and protect helpless people. Her mother assumed it was all part of being imaginative. Max forced a smile whenever she said those words, but inside, a strange tension was growing. When Daisy turned 15, she had a dream. But it didn't feel like a dream. It felt real. She saw everything. The badge, the rain, her sister on the floor, the warehouse, the crash. She watched herself die chasing the man who ruined her life. And when she woke up, sweating and shaking, she finally understood. She had been a cop, and she had come back for a reason. Her heart beat hard. Her hands shook. She didn't speak for hours, just sat with it. The truth of who she was. Max wasn't just her father. He was her unfinished mission. And Daniela, where was she? She remembered the last time she saw her. Unconscious, blood-soaked, barely breathing. Was she alive? She had to know. But the truth twisted like a blade because Max loved her. He called her Sunshine, not as a criminal hiding from guilt, but as a father. He brought her gifts, stayed up late to help with homework, told her she was his world, and she believed him. Because even if she hated the man he used to be, he had been nothing but good to her in this life. Still, she needed answers. One day, Daisy sneaked out of school. She took the train across the city to the neighborhood where she once lived, where Daniela would have lived. It had been 15 years. The house was still there, but older. Faded paint, weeds crawling through the fence. She stood at the gate and stared. Her heart was thudding. She peered through the kitchen window first. Her mother was there, her past mother, washing dishes slowly, her back hunched with age and exhaustion. Her father sat at the table, staring at a pile of medical bills. They looked tired, worn down. Then Daisy moved to the back window. That's when she saw her, Daniela, lying in a hospital bed in the small living room, surrounded by machines. She was older now, maybe 40, her face pale, motionless. A soft hum came from the machines beside her. Her chest rose and fell slowly, rhythmically. Daisy froze. Her throat tightened. Her eyes filled. And then the door creaked open behind her. She turned quickly. It was her father. They stared at each other in silence for a moment. A strange girl standing in the backyard, eyes full of tears. "Who are you?" he asked gently. Daisy opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Then, she woke up. It had been a dream. Daisy woke up in the classroom room, shaking. The dream felt too real, her sister pale and still, her parents drowning in sorrow. She had felt every second of it. But now, sunlight poured through her window. She couldn't sit with it anymore. Still in uniform, she left the school grounds, heart racing the entire train ride. This wasn't just curiosity now, it was need. She had to know if Daniela was alive. If that warehouse, that coma, that grief, had lasted 16 years. She made her way to the streets she remembered. Her old home. Everything looked different. A fresh coat of paint, new cars in the driveway, colorful balloons tied to the fence. Was she too late? She walked slowly to the window and peered inside. What she saw didn't match the ache in her chest. There was a party happening. Her past mother stood near a cake, smiling as people clapped. Her father, older but healthy, stood beside her. And Daniela was alive. She was glowing, laughing, holding hands with a tall man Daisy didn't recognize. At her side, a boy ran through the living room with a party horn. maybe 8 years old. Daniela's son. Daisy stood frozen at the window. A strange warmth rose in her chest, followed by a sharper cold. They had survived. They had healed. She wanted to cry, but couldn't. Her throat was locked. She had spent years thinking she was all that was left, that they needed her, that her mission had been the only thread left uncut. But now, they were okay, and she was the ghost. That night, back at home, Daisy didn't speak. Her mother asked if she was tired. She nodded. Max made her favorite dinner. She didn't touch it. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She had come back for justice. That was the deal. That was the fire that pulled her back through time and into this life. But now, everything was different. Daniela didn't need saving. Her family had already picked up the pieces. The only person who hadn't moved on was Daisy. And then there was Max, the man she once swore she'd bring down. The monster who left her sister to bleed in a warehouse was now the one who tucked her in at night, who kissed her forehead, who watched her plays, who told her he loved her like she was his world. It wasn't a lie. That's what made it worse. The next day, Daisy sat in the kitchen with her mother. The words spilled out before she could think. What was Dad like before you married him? Her mother chuckled at first, but when she saw Daisy's expression, her smile faded. I won't lie to you, she said. He was dangerous, charming, reckless, the kind of man your grandmother would have called trouble. But I was young. I thought I could handle him. He was like a fire. But after you were born, something changed. He softened. You were the only person who ever made him cry. Daisy's stomach turned. Was that enough? Was love enough to wash away everything he did? She wasn't sure anymore. All she knew was that she had come back to finish something. And now she didn't know what that was. Daisy realized too late. Her first mistake was choosing to come back as Max's daughter. She realized why souls were not allowed to remember their past life. Now she was trapped in her own web. Maybe it had made sense in the waiting room. Maybe it had felt powerful, strategic, ironic. But in reality, she was a child in the house of the man she once died chasing, not a cop with a badge. Not a warrior for justice. Just a teenage girl with memories too heavy for her age. She couldn't tell anyone. Who would believe her? She couldn't arrest him, couldn't expose him, couldn't change what he had done. And worse, she didn't even know if she still wanted to. The lines had blurred. Max had become two people. The monster from her past, and the loving father in her present. He noticed her change, her distance, the way she barely looked at him anymore. He asked questions, tried harder to make her laugh, but Daisy only grew quieter, detached, avoidant. Max, unaware of the storm inside her, concluded it was just teenage rage. She let him believe it. After high school, Daisy told her parents she wanted to study abroad. A clean start, a reason to leave. She said she wanted a better education, new opportunities. But the truth was simpler. She just wanted to breathe again. To put an ocean between her and Max. Between her and the girl she used to be. They let her go. Max hugged her tight at the airport, told her how proud he was. She nodded, but didn't say much. Her mother cried softly. Daisy blinked back her own tears, not just for leaving, but for never truly arriving. And as the plane lifted into the sky, she looked out the window and whispered her final goodbye, not to a place, but to a purpose. She hadn't finished her mission the way she planned, but maybe that was never the point. Her sister had lived. Her family had healed. That had to be enough. Not every story ends with victory. Some just end with letting go.